Okay guys, this is a video I've wanted to do for a while. This content creator thing. Everybody's calling themselves a content creator. It's called the creator economy now. Everybody's a content creator, but nobody's a consumer of content, it would seem. It almost seems like we have more creators than we have consumers of content. And the other thing is, some of these people that say they're creating content, I watch the videos and I don't know what content they've created. I think that's an overused term. Like these people, they'll play a video game and they'll talk about the video game while they're playing it, and they're calling that content. And I'm thinking, no, I think the person in the team that made the game created the content, and you're just playing content and talking about it. I think it's just a different thing. Now, if you make like a guide about a video game, which I am a gamer too, you guys probably know this, but I'm older now, so I'm not a huge gamer, but I am a gamer. And so I look up guides. I like to be informed, especially when a new game comes out, and know what I'm doing, so I'm not like fumbling around trying to figure things out. So those type of people, that's content creation. I can get behind that, and that's just one example. But there's just a lot of examples of, is that really content creation? And the other thing is that's really disturbing to me is just the amount of people getting into it and thinking that it's an easy way to, it's a side business you can start, and then eventually it becomes a full-time job. And you even have, I know of a few people, not like more acquaintances, not people that I know real well, but I know of a few people that have basically quit their job and went full-time on YouTube. And some of these people are like 1,000 subs, 1,500 subs, and when you start doing the math on how much money you make from ad revenue with the sub count that they have, and it's like, it's crazy for you to quit your job at that point. Even like if 50,000 subs, even 100,000 subs is not like, it's not a guarantee that you should be quitting your job at that point. Because when you start looking at the actual numbers, especially from ad revenue, which is for most of these guys on YouTube, that's their main income source off of YouTube is the ad revenue. It's not as much money as you might think. So this video that I'm looking at here currently is probably one of the better videos that I have seen, talking about the actual statistics and how much money you actually can make doing that. And it's not as much as you would think. Early in the video, they talk about, just going over the key points of the video, they talk about there's roughly 50 million people that consider themselves creators worldwide. 50 million. And they get into the main ways that a YouTube channel can make money: advertising revenue, sponsorships, Patreons. And yes, all those things can add up, and depending on what niche a channel is in, it's possible to make an income, a full-time income off of it. But it's not near as simple as people think. And there's a lot of people on YouTube and other places that are basically trying to sell a dream. They're trying to sell products and things like that to these new content creators that are all quitting their jobs that should not be, or they're not going to school when they should be. We still, there's a huge need for doctors, lawyers, nurses, certainly teachers, and you have 87% of people want to be a YouTuber according to certain statistics, which I'll get into later. But it's just silly, man. And all those things are good careers, and most of them pay pretty well. Teacher can pay decent as well, and it's a good career, and you typically get government benefits, which are pretty good. So I still don't understand this. But I suppose if you could go back in my generation, when my generation was younger, everybody wanted to be a movie star or something like that. So I suppose nothing has changed in that regard. Everybody wants to be famous. I think a lot of it is just the desire to be famous, not just the money aspect. But I mean, certainly working for yourself is a big thing. People want to do that. I get that. It's just not feasible for most people. They get into the numbers here. So they did a hypothetical of a guy that has a channel that gets 80,000 views per week, which would put him in the top 5% of views per week on YouTube. His ad revenue for that amount of views is $480 a month. That's it. That's all you get for ad revenue after taxes and those sort of things. They say, well, he has a sponsorship that gets him $1,600 a month, which is probably roughly an average, that they came up with. He sells merchandise for $200 a month, and he has a Patreon that gets him $63 a month. His total is $23.43 per month, which is not enough. It's not enough for a lot of people to live on, and it depends where you live, and it depends how much debt you have and things like that. It's certainly not the median U.S. income. There was another statistic that they cited that says the top 3% on YouTube make less than one third the U.S. median income. So top 3% make less than one third the median U.S. income. And on the top 0.015% on Twitch is what it takes to get to the median U.S. income. The other thing is you have to constantly upload, or the algorithm the algorithm just wants you constantly uploading, so you can get burnt out very easily. And 29% of Generation Z want to be a YouTuber, according to certain polls. And there's a lot of money going into the selling shovels aspect of this bubble, this creator economy bubble. There's all these companies selling products and things to people to get them, you buy this software, you buy this, you buy that, and it'll make you a great content creator. And that's kind of what's happening. If you just type in content creator into YouTube, there's a ton of people going full-time. 5 tips to go full-time as a content creator in 2021. Well, is this guy Big E, is he full-time at 40,000 subs? Because it's likely he's making like 25, 30,000 maybe a year, maybe. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he makes a lot more because of what niche he's in. I suppose this niche of selling to wannabe content creators could be extremely lucrative. I suppose it's very possible. This lady here, she has 40K subs. She's a full-time content creator. How to master, and a lot of these, there's a lot of, well, you can do it. Everybody can do this. It's not that hard. And many of them do admit that it is hard. They all say that they say that you should do it and it's possible and all this. There's a lot of pushing people down this path, and it's just not legit for most people to actually achieve this. It takes a tremendous amount of time, tremendous amount of effort, and it's not as easy as many people lead on. There's just so many of these. This is another article from the Observer, and this is just that statistic. Top 3% of the most popular channels attract 1.4 million views, which translates into $16,800 a year in ad income. So the ad income is not amazing at all. You can make a lot with sponsorships though, if you're big. 29% of people in the US want to be a YouTuber. It's the number one thing that kids want to be. Luckily, teacher here is number 2. Of course, professional athlete, that's always another one. That's another one. Professional athlete is another one that's the odds are just so astronomically low. I mean, football, getting to Division I football, I'm talking American football. Just getting to Division I, it's 1% of high school kids, maybe. It's probably 0.1%. And then Division I football players, it's 1% of them get to the NFL. I mean, the odds are just astronomically low. Astronaut, that's another one that's musician. These are all things that are very difficult to achieve. And YouTuber is so saturated now. That's the other thing. I listened to Joe Rogan. I listened to a podcast recently of his with Mr. Beast. And Mr. Beast, I listened to the whole thing. He many times tried to make the case that it's not that hard. Anybody can do it. Mr. Beast, he's got a tremendous work ethic. The guy works crazy amount of hours, and it's all focused on YouTube. And he's a huge success story, and it's great. It's great what he's done. And he gives back. He does a lot of charity stuff. He's a good person in general. I have nothing wrong with the guy, but he doesn't understand that time and place are huge in anything like that. He was very early in YouTube, and he was very aggressive in YouTube before YouTube was even much of a thing. And that's the same with the people that are at the top on Twitch, the people at the top on any of these social medias. They were either famous before they got there, before they got on YouTube, so naturally they get a huge following, or they were early to the platform. And there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell. It's called Outliers. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend reading it. Great book, but it basically talks about the richest. I think at some point it references the richest people in the world. It's been probably 5 years since I've read this book, so I could have this wrong, but I think he references somewhere in there that like the richest people on the planet. They're mostly tech people, and they mostly all came from like the same era, like when personal computers were first coming online, like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all those guys. They're all roughly the same age. They all roughly started their businesses around the same time. And then there was a second batch of tech that are in the billionaire club that kind of came online around the time the internet got started. There's so many examples of that. There's, cryptocurrency, you have some of these people, and that's a huge bubble too, by the way. You have all these people piling into that now. But the people that got rights for that were mostly people that got in extremely early. It's the same exact concept. What else? Did I cover everything? Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of people selling shovels. In a gold rush, you sell the shovel. That's where, if you want to make money in this, I think that's probably the best way. This is this is the statistic I cited earlier. That's crazy to me. Now, I think a lot of these are just, they want to do it as a side, or they want to try it or something like that, which still though, to me, that's still crazy to me. Okay, this is Vox, and Vox is definitely left-leaning, but they have some good stuff. How to become a content creator. And you can see the Google trends for that is just off the charts. And just more statistics on it. But it to me, I just keep seeing this I'm a content creator type stuff pop up all over and over again. And I just cringe a little bit, because so much of it is just bullshit to me. It's just people putting out stuff that's, clickbait and complete bullshit that I don't care about most. Like I hit the button that says don't show me this again if I see stuff like that when it comes up on YouTube. I just don't want. It's just so crazy how far people go to try to push clickbait, and a lot of times it's just bad information too, especially in like in politics and things like that. The stuff that rises to the top on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter there is the stuff that's completely wrong. Like, it's stuff that is not grounded in any sort of reality. That's the stuff that gets to the top. And that's the part that really, really bothers me, is how these algorithms are being played. And I've done videos on this in the past. It's basically these algorithms are kind of playing to our primal tendencies as humans, and the idea that humans tend to gravitate towards negativity, and a lot of times negative type news and information ends up being false. So that's the part that bothers me. I mean, if somebody wants to throw their life away to try to start YouTube, I guess it does bother me. And what bothers me there is that, somebody that could have a lot of potential in an actual career, that there's a huge need and is a good career, they're kind of throwing their life away. And not only that, I mean, we just need those people in the world. So we need nurses, doctors, lawyers, so on and so forth. Especially nurses, there's a gigantic need for nurses, and that's a great paying career. Yeah, I think that's it for my rant, but this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And it's just, the whole thing is just kind of crazy, and how blown up this whole thing has gotten. I'll see you guys later.